There's a reason virtual experiences have not had an impact on the offline world. And the reason is because we've never looked at what we do online as a replacement of what we do offline. And I don't think we should still, in this day and age right now. But what we should do is we should think about what can we do different. I believe the reason offline moving to online hasn't worked in the past is because we've tried to repurpose what we do offline online. But I believe we need to reinvent what we do in the virtual space and do it in new ways, open to new opportunities and new experiences, and ultimately take advantage of, well, the 360-degree view that virtual provides us. With that being said, let's get this started. My name is Brian Fanzo, digital futurist, and well, you're about to be untethered. That's right, Brian Fanzo, iSocial fans. Figured I'd bring you a little bit, inside my home office here in Northern Virginia, and I'm excited to talk to you about reinventing those virtual experiences from a speaker's perspective. And I truly do believe it starts with the mindset. And I'm here in my home office, and although I'm recording this for you, and of course I'll be in the chat engaging, this is for me part of the fun, is I get to give you a little taste of what you're about to experience. And yes, well, I'm doing it here in my home office. I have a couple cameras set up here, a couple different things that I'm going to hopefully bring you guys on a journey for. And I truly do believe you're in for an experience, well, unlike anything you've ever had before. So if you are in the mood for something new and you want to do that, let's get this party started. You guys ready? Do this. Ooh, all right. So we're going to talk a little bit about virtual experiences and really how all of this comes to light, especially when it comes to this new virtual world and how we as speakers, as myself as a full-time speaker, can embrace the opportunity that is virtual. But before we can do that, before we can truly understand all of the fun that is going on here, I wanted to kind of set the stage for what you guys can expect over the next 20-25 minutes. And part of that comes down to this idea of redefining change. And I'm one that have always loved change. I actually had a title called The Change Evangelist, was my title for a good while. And I love kind of embracing new and helping people change, but a lot of what we're dealing with right now in this current moment is forced change. And I don't think anyone likes being forced to change. While at the same time, we can kind of find different ways to embrace that. And so one of the things that I kind of mentioned there in the intro was that I believe offline events have never really been impacted by virtual, or they really haven't even leveraged the power of virtual. And in many cases, this was because we would take offline limitations and we would try to put them online, such as slides, right? The idea of presenting with a slide or on a stage, and we would kind of do that in this virtual world, but then we're competing with Netflix and YouTube, and we have this new audience, and let's face it, the virtual world is unlike anything that we experience at an offline event, and therefore we do have to change. We do have to reinvent, not repurpose what we do in those offline events, and that includes who we're talking to, understanding who's the audience, understand where we're going to engage with people, and even where they're going to consume, from a mobile device to their laptop to maybe even watching it on a TV. We have to think about when, the idea of how often an event can actually be presented, even the idea of 1 day versus 2 days, and do days really matter in the virtual space, and how does that impact me as a speaker? How long should our sessions be? How short? How long should certain elements be? And how else can we kind of factor them in? And then, of course, why are we doing the event? And I truly do believe we need to even rethink why. And it really does come down to this idea of change and understanding that we need to shift our perspective. And to me, this is exciting, right? Because if we shift our perspective, and I think part of the thing, as a change evangelist, I would always tell people is that just because we're changing doesn't mean what we've done in the past was wrong. Rather, everything we've done up till now is allowing us to be able to change in the future, right? It's giving us all of those experiences. But the thing that we can't do is we can't allow the limitations from offline or our perspective of what even an event is or the value that we explain to limit the possibilities that we have in the virtual space. And so I truly do look at this as shifting our perspective so that we can embrace new limitations and we can have new possibilities and really connect and understand new experiences, because I think this entire picture comes down to not only us embracing change, but understanding where all these moving parts do. And so we do have to understand that we are dealing with a new stage, a new audience, but we also have another piece of this that is new, and that is the new role. And the new role of really everyone, but for us and our mindset. And part of that new role that we have to think about is, what are the different ways that we can embrace this virtual space, right? How can we take advantage of holograms or overlays? And I'm presenting this, I'm recording this live, and of course I can see those overlays on the screen. This isn't post-production. I could have done this on live stream. I've done it on WebEx, on Zoom, on multiple different platforms. And I think part of this excitement is saying, okay, how do we ask questions again for us when we're presenting, right? So something that we have to think about is, the message. What and how is the message that we want to put out there? Even what is the format? Should it be live video, recorded video? Should it be animated? How should we even, examine that? And then we should also think about that performance. What is the performance that we are trying to deliver? What is the emotional connection that we want to convey? And I think all of these also come down into this idea of the delivery. Why are we delivering something? Where are we delivering it? And even, thinking about this idea here is that, for a speaker, part of the thing that we are, live in the luxury on the offline event is that we have captured attention. And it's the greatest value that we have. But in this virtual digital world, we have to think about all of these things, because I don't care how immersive, how awesome, how engaging, how cool your graphics are, if we don't shift our mindset to the content that we're providing and the platforms that we're using and having a reason for everything, we could either do what we've done for the last 10 years, and that's your static webinar, voiceover slides, put us to sleep, or we could have too many bells and whistles, too many cameras, too many overlays, and be more distracting than the value that we should provide. So we do have to kind of look at this entire experience and think about, okay, how do we redefine what we're doing? How do we approach this differently? How do we change our mindset? And so part of that is what you see here on, and I keep switching back and forth, right? Perfection's a fairy tale. I'll talk about that in a minute. But part of that, what we have to think about there is what you see here in the pink. And that's what I'm going to kind of identify as where we can go, where we can truly make a difference when it comes to these virtual experiences, especially from a speaker's perspective. And I've had the very nice luxury as, I consult and build strategy with events on speakers, on content, on engaging, leveraging influencers in social media. I'm also a full-time speaker, about 60 to 70 events a year. But funny enough, the thing that I've probably done more so than anything else over the last 4 years is embrace virtual. I've done over 3,500 live streams. I play around with all kinds of new technology. And part of that comes down to this idea of endless possibilities, or what I like to say, the 360 experience. Because I believe limitations inspire creativity, right? When you are limited by something, we have to get creative to accomplish our goals. But in the virtual space, we all of a sudden get into this virtual world, and we have all of these new possibilities and new ways of doing things, and we can hide behind graphics, we can move around, we can leverage different things in our world, we can pick up our phone and give somebody a call. This is like the iPhone 20. But when we think about this idea that when we are given limitations, we become very creative. But when we carry limitations from offline to online, we limit our possibilities. And in the virtual space, what scares many of us is that there aren't very many limitations. The opportunity to do different things, like the 360 camera you saw from my introduction, or the multiple cameras in our room, the idea that we can bring people in and off screen, we can connect with people anywhere and everywhere, while at the same time, this can be overwhelming, right? Because it can really start down this path that is, well, what you guys see here, right? We have we have recorded video, live video, we have laptops and mobile devices, we have virtual reality, we have audio, we have text, we have books, we have white papers, we have all of this information, we have different formats. I love what Untethered's doing with this event is there's lots of different ways that we're going to be able to communicate, but I think one of the things we have to really understand is that everything we do in the virtual space has to be done for a reason. It has to have a strategy behind it. We have to leverage all of these possibilities in this crazy 360 experience to ultimately drive our creativity, to foster engagement, to change the game and how we present, how we engage, and how we look at this entire package. And so I started there with like that 360 degree experience. I even used the GoPro 360 camera during the intro. But then I'm going to go take you to the next step. And I would actually probably say this is the most important step. And it's something that, since March 10th, I lost, 18 of my speaking gigs that I had in that week. I also lost my full-time retainer clients that I was building strategy for different events. And part of that was, okay, now let's jump into this world, right? This world that I've loved, and I've launched live streaming platform, live streaming, events and campaigns for giant brands like Dell, IBM, SAP, Samsung. I did 24 hours live streaming at the Super Bowl. But one of the things I've learned, 3,500 live streams, all of those things that I've done, is that it does not matter how amazing your content is. It does not matter if you have the most engaged presentation in the world. It does not matter if you have the greatest speaker in the world or maybe not the greatest speaker in the world, because if we together are not educating everyone around us, it's going to fall flat. And what I mean by that is I don't believe right now our audience is as prepared as they should be to take advantage of the 360 degree opportunity that we have. And what I mean by that is this presentation, I'm using Prezi Video to give you guys these overlays and this interactivity. But if you came to this event and you weren't prepared to engage, or maybe you planned on multitasking and just listening to it on your browser tab, on like the 135th tab on your browser, it doesn't matter how great my graphics are, how animated I am on video, how I use my props in the background, if the audience isn't educated. And then if we think about that, even taking that a next step, is that if the event team isn't educating and collaborating with the speaker and the host, and the speaker and host aren't collaborating with the platform and the production team, and the production team isn't collaborating with marketing and sales, the disconnect in the virtual world can be catastrophic. And for me as a speaker, I'm used to showing up at an event, having my slides, knowing that someone's going to take care of AV, someone's going to take care of lighting, someone's going to take care and make sure that the screen looks good and the background looks good, someone's going to take care of photography, someone's going to take care of everything, and I'm just going to perform. Well, in this virtual space, we now have to be our own producer, our own manager of the the lights and everything around us. We have to be able to understand live video and all of these different aspects. And when we think about it, a lot of the things that come down to creating a great virtual experience require this holistic education and teamwork. I've said this for the longest time, and I truly do believe it, that I believe that the future of innovation is built through collaboration. And what that means is it's no longer now just about one person or one group picking a platform and deciding what an event is and then hiring a speaker or a host. And it's not just about a speaker or host dictating the way that they deliver. Because I can tell you, I've actually demoed 71 different virtual event platforms. 71 since March 10th. I don't recommend anyone doing that. But one of the things that I wanted to do as a speaker is I wanted to know all of the technology possibilities that were out there. I said, I want to know everything. What are my total possibilities that I can leverage? And the more I dug in, the more I realized each platform has its pros and its cons, and there wasn't one platform better than another, and some were great on live video, some were great with produced video, some could allow you to use virtual cameras, some couldn't. Some had polls, some had external polls, some had a mobile device, some didn't have a mobile device. Some allowed you to have 1080p video, some allowed you to have 540 video. All of these different things, and then on top of that, you have all of the different aspects for managing the event itself. And so what I've found, and when I look at this idea of reinventing through educating, is that we have to share and bring each other in this loop now, because if the platform that an event is using doesn't enable a presenter or a speaker to deliver the most value they can, is that the best for our event, right? And like, what role does this play in our audience, right? Even factoring in things like what percentage of our audience will be connecting with a mobile device. Well, that should determine if we should be using slides or video or overlays. Should we be giving them the option to download audio? And really all of these things come down to this idea of truly redefining what a virtual experience is. And from a speaker's perspective, and I'm going to put my speaker hat on. Well, actually, I already have my hat on, right? I'm going to talk to it from a speaker's perspective. And from a speaker's perspective, what I like to factor this down into is the 4 E's. And what I mean by the 4 E's, and I'll walk you through these 4 E's fairly quickly, but as a speaker, the things that we have to factor in beyond the event that we're working with is, as a speaker, and I love showing up to an event and delivering my content, but I can tell you, I've now delivered, this is my 19th presentation virtually since COVID-19 kind of disrupted our world. And although I've done 3,500 live streams and launched numerous influencer and social media and live video events around the world, it's taken me a while to factor in all of the different moving parts and all of the variables. And so the 4 things that I wrap my head around when I'm kind of in this moment is, the first one is emotion. What is the emotion that I want to convey? And that is going to determine if I'm going to be standing up, as I'm doing right now with a standing desk. That's going to determine if I should be sitting in a chair. Should I be moving towards the camera versus not towards the camera? Should I be using my hands, not using my hands? What level of authority do I want to convey? What is not only the emotion that I want to convey, but what is the emotion I want to gather from you, the audience, right? And all of these things have to be factored in to everything from the colors that we use. Now, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, diehard Pittsburgh sports fan. So black and yellow, of course, is my brand colors. But when you think about all of these different pieces, it's just like, when a teacher is grading a paper, they no longer use red because red has such that intimidating, color, emotion, psychology side behind it. And so we have to start thinking about that emotional connection, not only the emotion that we want to convey, but what is the emotion we hope the audience can connect with us. The second one here, the second E of the 4 E's is environment, understanding your environment. And I can tell you, I have more gear here. I've had well over 50 one-on-one coaching calls with speakers, helping them pick out which kind of camera, what kind of microphone, all of these different things, because this is kind of my world. But when I think of it, it's not just about the technology. It's not just about our message. It's about the entire environment, right? Setting yourself up as a speaker to succeed, right? So understanding, okay, who is my audience? What is their demographic? What time is my presentation? I know I'm giving this presentation in the morning time, right? So thinking about, okay, it's in the morning, we have lunch coming up. What are these things that I need to factor in? Even, do I need to make sure am I hydrated? Is my environment ready to go? Then we also have to think about the media types. What are the different types of media that we want to leverage for our presentation? Now, I'm a big believer that there are 3 types of video that should be included in every virtual event. And I'm very proud and very excited that Untethered is actually embracing that. And I can tell you it's one of the few events that I've been a part of that is taking in all 3 different types of video, and they're doing it in different formats. And it's live video, pre-recorded video, and then produced video. And really, live video having that interactivity. And I'm a huge fan of live. I truly do believe live shrinks the distance better than any other platform. But if your presentation isn't going to have live aspects in it, if you're not going to be reading the Q&A or bringing in the questions, or, for one of my live presentations, I actually, I let the audience choose which stories I'm going to tell, right? So I'll put a poll and say, okay, after this next 5 minutes, I want you guys to vote on which story you want me to link towards that. And so that's a reason to be live. But if you're not going to leverage live aspects, it's not worth going live and having the risk of live streaming, right? So of course I'm doing this one pre-recorded, and pre-recording is nice because I can pause, I can edit the audio, the lighting, I can cut different things up. It allows me a little bit more of that freedom. And for many speakers, some speakers are great on live, some speakers are great on pre-recorded, some speakers live scares them because it's all one take, and they can't really embrace their imperfections. I have no problem with that. But they also want control, and I always say with live streaming, there's 2 guarantees. It's perfection's a fairy tale and control is an illusion. But in this environment, you have that live, you have that pre-recorded, and then you also have produced, the ability to bring in, when you're talking about a video or a client, being able to bring in a video or having, different transitions with produced video. And all of these types of media are important for us as the speaker to create the virtual experience that we want to enable. But as I said before, we oftentimes can be limited by the event platform or the strategy or even the time of day or structure of an event, which is why I truly do believe the collaboration between all entities in a virtual event and virtual experiences has never been more important. And that includes this idea of executing. Now I can tell you, my mantra, as you guys can see here, on my sign, is press the damn button. And part of that is because, I do believe that there's lots of people that will listen, lots of people that will take notes, lots of people that are right now that are excited and inspired, but there's very few people that will take action. And in this virtual world, since our world kind of got flipped upside down, we're all learning together. I mean, one of the presentations I'm giving a lot right now to different clients is what has changed and what have we learned since March 10th, right? And really kind of breaking that all down, especially as a futurist. To me, it's about not telling people what's right or what's wrong, but hey, this is what we've learned, this is what we experienced, and this is what we want to shape as we go forward. And so that third E is that execute, because I do believe that we won't know what works until you try it. You don't know how long a video should be until you make a video too long. You don't know what different aspects work for your audience until they're exposed to it. And so that third E of execution is extremely important. And then, of course, the fourth E is probably my favorite one, which is empathy and our ability to listen with people, right? Talk with and feel what other people are feeling, right? Being able to connect. I've always said that when I look at marketing and I work with brands in marketing space, I truly do believe, we've always said this, right? People buy from people they like. I'm going to make a new argument. In 2020 and beyond, yes, we buy from people we like, but we also buy from people that we can relate to. That's why influencer marketing works. But that relatability requires us to be able to listen, to talk with our audience, not talk at them. Allow us to feel emotions, allow us to be human, allow us to admit that sometimes I was turning the wrong way earlier in the presentation, right? That freedom to connect and truly do relate. And so these 4 E's are essential for us as we grow forward and redefine what a virtual experience is, especially when it comes to a speaker and the role of crafting new messages, because it's really hard to stand out from the noise. It's really hard to connect and really kind of figure out this entire world. And I don't have all the answers, but for me, the most exciting part is we have lots of feedback. We have lots of ways to test it out. We have the opportunity to try all different types of things, which is why I'm joining exciting events like this. And so as I look at the future and as I look at where we're going, I kind of want to pull this together with this as the frame, is that I truly do believe that we're not going to go back to the way of things of the old. But I'm bullish in saying that 2 years from right now, that the offline events will be richer in value. They will have more information, more insight. We will have a better offline event than we've ever had before 2 years from now. And in the meantime, some events going to come and go. We're going to figure all of that out. But here's the exciting part, and here's where I want to leave you guys with this, is that we have the ability to shape the future together. We get to decide the role virtual plays. And as I stated at the beginning, it's not about repurposing what we do offline. It's about reimagining, rediscovering, reinventing. And I truly do believe if we look at this, and if you look at examples like the NFL draft, that you're able to reinvent new experiences, discover new opportunities. The NFL draft, after the virtual draft, said they have 8 to 10 things that they're going to incorporate in next year's offline NFL draft that they never even thought of. The idea of bringing the children into the war room so you have this better connection with the general managers and owners of their teams. And so what excites me the most is if we reinvent, if we open our mind to the possibilities that exist for us in this virtual space, it's not going to replace what we do offline. Rather, we are going to be able to shape a new offline experience. We're going to be able to connect the virtual worlds like we never have before. And ultimately, we're going to be able to provide more value than we ever have before. My name is Brian Fanzo. I am a digital futurist, the founder of iSocialFans. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. I'll be happy to be taking your questions, of course, not only in the chat during this session, but afterwards. You can reach out to me on any of the social platforms at iSocialFans, the letter I, Social Fans, on any platform. I'm active on every platform. Hopefully you guys are excited about the future as I am, and I want to thank the other Untethered events for allowing me to come in and speak to you. And well, I guess we're gonna jump out of that virtual experience and send you on your way. My friends, make it a great day. Remember, very few people will execute. Very few people will take what you learned today and, well, press the damn button.